As you may or may not know, I'm on Rock the Bells Radio Monday through Friday with Sha Rock. Our show is called That's the Joint. It's all about classic hip hop. We play strictly old school for the OGs. All right. So when you talk about origins, we're talking about where all this thing started. And purportedly, that first party that was given on August 11th, back in 1973, at 1520 Sedgwick Avenue, is the first documented hip hop party, meaning there's record of it. There's a little video of it. There's flyers and people still around that witnessed it. So for us in the Bronx, we call that the birthplace of hip hop, and we recognize Kool Herc as the father of hip hop. But did hip hop start in the Bronx? And why does the Bronx get the recognition for starting hip hop? I just want to put that out there. Dame, you from Brooklyn or Crown Heights? If you didn't know no history about hip hop, if you didn't know nothing about it, and somebody asked you, yo, where hip hop started, what would you tell them? I mean, for you, from your own experiences.
For me, my own experience, it started for me in Harlem.
In Harlem?
It started for me. It started on 135th Street. When I started going to the shows, Friday shows. Why? Millbank. I started going to the shows like that, seeing Tribe Called Quest and everybody like that, Raw Bass, all that.
Yeah, that was way late.
Yeah, I mean, that's when it started for me.
No, understood, and that was the question.
Like,
and that was the question.
84.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
That's when it started for me.
Same to you, Tone. I know you go a little further back.
It started, for me, it started with Mario.
Disco King Mario.
Disco King Mario, like, you know what I'm saying, before I was really supposed to be out and about. You know what I'm saying? And much respect and love to him because he saved my ass a few times out there in the park when I shouldn't have been out there with the older folks. And, you know, it always been from that part of the Bronx to the part of the Bronx with Clay and Sedgwick and all that. So it was like two different parts of the Bronx doing the same thing, but, you know what I'm saying, then once I started traveling with some of the OGs and started going to the other parts of the Bronx and other schools that were throwing the jams, you know what I'm saying, K Connection was around my area.
Kenny Ken?
The other Hollywood, Kenny Ken and K Connection, you know what I'm saying, so then I started traveling with the OGs to the other parks over there toward that side of the Bronx, like, you know, the Tinton and Trinity and the Clays and Sedgwick and so forth.
So basically, the Bronx.
Yeah, definitely.
From as early as the Disco King Mario era.
Yes.
Okay, so we talking 70s.
Yeah, definitely.
Your hip hop come from the pioneer era.
Definitely.
What about you, KB?
Yeah, I would probably say it starts for me always probably at the park level with the older homies being out with radios and stuff like that. But it's probably I want to say Sugar Hill Gang, right? Like I want to say Sugar Hill Gang, but I think when it really starts to affect me personally is probably Run DMC. You know, Run DMC.
That era.
I think that era right there.
So pretty much the recorded era.
Yeah,
hip-hop.
definitely. I don't go back to cassettes. Definitely don't go back to cassettes. I mean, I think probably the cassette guy that even in that time was still resonating was probably Mo D, which is why I thought Mo D as a choice of yours as the underrated one. You know, I don't know that I would go Mo as the underrated.
All right,
one.
that's not.
No, I'm just saying like Mo D.
Here we go.
You know, no doubt. I'm just saying Mo D was a guy who I did know. Mo D I knew, Melly Mel I knew, and stuff like that. But I would say my first people that I started resonating with was probably Run DMC.
But your first hearing or recollection of hip hop is the Sugar Hill Gang.
Sugar Hill
Rappers
Gang,
Delight.
Yeah, I knew that. I knew who was my favorite in that group.
All right,
Master G.
Okay, Mike.
When I think about it, Like I remember hearing like all my friends like Kevin Kenny and them always they had these tapes with DJs from the Bronx. So there was like Cool Herc and stuff like that, but I wasn't really into it as much like that. I didn't really get into it till I actually heard somebody rhyming on the mic and rocking the house, and I think that was like Hollywood, DJ Hollywood. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, this is it. But I still didn't craft it like that until one of my friends did it in school and had the girls around him. And so I say, about 77, about 76, 77 is when it really kicked into me. I was like, okay, this is it. And I did a talent show in junior high school. From there, this is it.
So I'm hearing, well, you came in late. You came in during the rap era. So Tone and Mike are the only ones who kind of reach back, further. For me, I come from day one from this shit. Was no hip hop. When I was even getting into music, I used to sing in a group. In junior high school, we used to sing all the stylistic songs and Blue Magic and all that shit, and do shows at at Red Letter Day in high school. But Kool Herc lived down the street from me back in 1973, and all the kids from the neighborhood, all the older kids, used to like just be out like on the weekends or all going down the hill. Now the only thing down the hill was River Park Towers, okay, and Roberto Clemente State Park. That's where everybody went to hang out, swim, go to the pool, whatever, recreation center. But up the street, that's where Kool Herc lived. That's where 1520 was. And so when everybody be leaving the block, everybody, all the shorties, we on the block, yo, what's up, where y'all going? You had your big cousin, you know what I mean? Where y'all going? Where you going? We going to Kool Herc party. We going to Kool Herc party. So as a shorty, not even know what a Kool Herc party was or Kool Herc was, we start seeing that this is something important or something to strive to be able to do. And this is like a couple years back, I'm like 10, 11, 12, you know what I mean? By the time I'm 13, 13 is when his first party at Cedric,
Right.
okay? I was 13 then. I didn't start going to parties till I was 15. But I heard about them from then. I didn't travel outside of my immediate area, so I can't tell you what was going on in the South Bronx, the South. I can't tell you what was going on in the way up in the East Bronx or what was going on, you know what I mean? I know what I saw. I know what I was influenced by. And I know everywhere I went, what people talked about, what people thought was important, who people said was, and that's Kool Herc. Kool Herc. Now later on, I heard about the young DJ Grandmaster Flash. You know what I mean? I heard about Africa Bambaataa over in Bronx River. I started hearing about the Brothers Disco up in by Edenwall and different people. But for me, from where I come from, and I'm born and raised in the South Bronx, but when Herc gave that party, I lived up the block. So that's my influence from day one. So I seen everything from then all the way up till today. All the way up to today. But the question is, why is the Bronx noted as the birthplace of hip hop? Well, because all of those things I said, and plus the fact, this is where everybody came to document the shit. If the same energy was going on in Brooklyn, if the same energy was going on in Queens, if the same energy was going on in Manhattan, Harlem, or whatever, why didn't they go there? Why didn't Wild Style, why didn't the people who made the movie Wild Style or the documentaries, why didn't they go other places? Why did they come to the Bronx?
Because Bronx
Hello?
is the whole movement.
Anybody?
Yeah,
You people out there, can anybody, add on to this? I want to know. Hit us up, you know what I mean, in the comments or whatever. Because if you have an argument against the Bronx being the birthplace of hip hop, I'd like to hear it.
I think a lot came from the West Indian culture. They had the big speakers usually. They had the big music. Even the two people that are claimed to be that person from day one are of that heritage.
Yeah, but understood. Yeah, from a Caribbean heritage. Bam, all three of them.
Mario.
Bam, Flash, and Herc. But the thing is, they was in the Bronx.
I think the
That's
Bronx
what
was
I'm
the-
saying. The Bronx. This is what I'm saying. So
I think the Bronx was the first melting pot too, out of the boroughs.
you could say that. You could say that. But I'm saying when they talk about the origins of hip hop, you got and the Bronx. I just want to know if there's another argument outside of that. Yeah, I mean, if somebody has a strong argument for another place, because I hear Harlem a lot. Harlem a lot talk about, yo, fuck that. We was doing this and that and such. And a lot of the original, their influences don't come from Kool Herc. They come from DJ Hollywood.
Right.
And Hollywood is from Harlem. I mean, Love Bug lived in the Bronx, but like kind of made his bones in both of the boroughs. You know what I'm saying? Bronx and
I've heard
Harlem.
Brooklyn too. I've heard Brooklyn too, but I've always heard it as we was having parties.
Brooklyn
Not that
always
it was
had
a-
parties. We all, every borough had parties, but what kind of party? You know what I mean? A block party, everybody has block parties. They've always gone on. The kind of music that was played, whatever the music of the day was, dictated the block party, unless it was an
beginning to
ethnic
end,
block
with the record
party.
on,
Like,
right?
you know what I mean? On Eastern Parkway, you know what kind of music you're going to hear. You soca, Caribbean, and all Jamaican, all that. You know what I mean? If you go to to the fucking Puerto Rican Day Parade, you're going to hear salsa, bachata, you hear all kind of different shit. You go to a hip-hop party, you're going to hear R&B, hip-hop, you know what I mean? And breakbeats and shit like that. So there was a distinction between the kind of party that it was. And I think Brooklyn gets a lot of credit because they had parties. And the people that kind of was their heroes, people like Grandmaster Flowers, okay? But these guys played dance music. They played club music. They played disco. Yeah, I mean, the hottest record in a crate in a DJ out of Brooklyn or Queens, and probably Manhattan too, was Love Is the Message. Okay? And you throw that motherfucker on in any one of them boroughs, and that shit gonna light
Yeah,
up.
get up.
Okay? But you throw that shit on in the Bronx, some people gonna light up. Okay, but if you throw on Apache,
There you go.
then you got motherfuckers' attention. So that's the difference between, you know what I mean, what we gravitated toward, and Herc kind of led that charge to us listening to old break beats and the sections of songs, instead of the whole, song. Agreed?
Agreed.
I think so.
I remember when I first went to a party, so to speak. Like, it wasn't really a hip hop party, but it was like, a party where we were doing
jam.
a jam, and the new dance was out. The Freak. Remember the Freak? That was
Remember
out.
The Freak?
And the first record, because every time I think about it, this record always comes to my mind. Remember this record, Caz? Take me to the great space.
Yeah.
I'm sick and tired of the human race.
Galaxy.
Oh my
By
God!
War.
And everybody was doing the Freak. Look, watch me on this camera. This was the Freak back in the day.
I hated that shit.
This was the best part. Somebody would come around and get up from the front. You got it from the back. Now you're sandwiching it like that.
No doubt.
And guys used to actually nut on themselves. Well, me only once, but guys nut on themselves.
I've heard of that happening. Okay.
Time or two.
But I hated the Freak because prior to that, disco, it was hip hop and disco. The party basically was R&B, disco, and break beats at a particular point when they start making that circle. Oh, that's break beats for the next hour. The B-Boys is going in. And then when they wanted to cool it out, get the girls back involved, they throw back on some R&B or some disco music. Even slow jams.
Slow jam.
At the end of the party. You remember?
Delphonics.
End of the party. That was it.
I gave to you. That was
That
the end
once
of the
you throw
cool
that
Herc
on-
party.
No
You
party
already
done.
knew. You ain't got to go home, but you got to get the hell up out of here. If you ain't hollered at nobody yet, you better grab a bitch right now.
Right now.
Okay?
Some heat waves,
Before this song
some
go
Stacey
off.
Hacksaw.
Gotta stop sweating first.
Right for breaking in that
Gotta stop
circle.
sweating first.
Crazy.